Future is Female podcast. I am Zachary Key, and I'm here with the beautiful Serene. Serene, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Thank you for coming through. I appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
For those who don't know, you are a actress, and what else you do? You got a lot going on.
Well, I'm a little bit of an overachiever, but I am an actress, singer, musician. I play the piano, love to dance. Yeah, so that's my main groove. But I also do assistant production.
Okay.
I did that on my last film. It was really fun. So those are my main areas.
Got you. Now let's go into your acting a little bit, okay?
Okay.
So are you acting here in Philadelphia?
Yes.
Is that where it's at? Okay. Mm-hmm. How has that been treating you? Like how was the Philadelphia film scene?
Honestly, it was great. I mean, I'm originally from Florida. Okay, I was born in Cuba, came over in 1997 on an airplane, yes. And I started my journey very young, performing in churches like for dances and plays. But my professional career really took off in 2016. I quit my job at the hospital. I did go to college, graduated, but it just wasn't fulfilling me because I've always been an artist since I was little. So I quit my full-time job and I became a full-time entertainer on cruise ships for like 9 months.
Oh, wow.
And then when I got tired of being on the ocean, I was like, hey, why don't I go into acting? And Philly was really close to New York City, but a lot cheaper. So,
Right.
So Philadelphia has been great for me. They've treated us so nice here. And I say us because my husband has been a major part of my growth as an artist, and finding myself as an artist. So it's been an amazing journey in Philly. I wasn't planning on staying here that long, but the audience really loved my music, and I've started to get really great opportunities here. So that's why I'm still here.
Great. I see a little bit of a wardrobe function right there.
Yeah, it's all right. We gotta multitask sometimes.
We do. But so you mentioned Philadelphia, like how you enjoy acting here in Philadelphia. How was it in comparison to New York and to the other, bigger cities, or California, Atlanta, and stuff like that? How was Philadelphia in comparison to that?
Well, I started off doing a little bit of extra work in New York. I did a little bit for Law and Order. As a Jewish protester. I also did a background acting for the movie In the Heights, the pool scenes and stuff. So that was fun. But it kind of like let me know, how the professional scene was. And then the bulk of my work has really come from Philly.
Nice.
So that's why I'm still in Philly. I think I've only done work for New York City, but it's been mainly like in studios around Philly and New Jersey.
Got you. Now, you said you was in a cruise ship. You used to be one of like the performers in a cruise ship?
Yeah. So I was like a pop duo with my husband. He played the guitar. I was playing the grand piano, singing all the pop hits. So I do primarily sing in Spanish right now, but I compose in English as well. So I was pretty much doing all the pop hits from like all the eras acoustically. And it was a great experience. The audience really liked it. They actually started pulling out chairs in front of us and asking us for original music.
Okay.
So that's how we kind of got more confident in sharing our original music. Because as an artist, you write stuff from like what you go through, but you never know how it's going to be perceived or received, right? So, it was really fun to do that because we still have fans from the cruise ship that follow me on like Facebook and Instagram.
Right. No, that got to be really cool. I just went on my first cruise ship about a month ago now, right? So, and while I was there, I was playing basketball on the top deck, and I was with one of the comedians. And we were just talking about that, like how it'd be so cool to travel all over the world and meet people from all over the world and be able to, express yourself and be recognized for your craft. So that's really a dope thing. Tell me about some of your challenges and that you might have, like some of the things that you might face here in Philadelphia, because Philadelphia is a hard place.
Yeah.
It's a hard city.
I would say I feel very blessed because I started to get opportunities during the pandemic, which was very odd. But like I started doing a lot of manifestation. And really, ever since we moved into Philly, I never stopped working. Like I was always doing videos everywhere I could with my phone, music videos. And that's how we kind of like started to get in the scene. We were chosen for the World Cafe Live. So that's how we kind of started incorporating ourselves here. And then we met our really good friends, Franklin and Angie Millan. They have a show, an independent TV show on Telemundo. And we went to a nonprofit event during the pandemic. Right. And we were like, what do we got to do as independent artists to get bookings here, right? Because in Miami, we were able to book like really nice hotels. It was a little easier for that. But here, it was very hard to find those connections. Right. And then we also made a great connection with Latif. He has the 98.5 FM station. And we just walked into a bar one time, The Fire. So shout out Karen. And we walked in with our guitar and we were like, hey, yeah, we're just looking for a spot to play at. He's like, okay, cool. Yeah, come on by. So through Teef, we met Michael, who's DJ Cuz on the station. Through DJ Cuz, we got hooked up with Who Mag Distribution with Rob Schwartz. And now we distribute our music through him. And then with our Latin family, we started our first movie. It's called Crimson Butterfly, Carmesí de Mariposa, and that we got in the nonprofit event. So going back to that, my husband is very outspoken. I'm a little bit more reserved sometimes, I like to delegate. But he was just like, what do we got to do to get booked around here, Right. And then they were like, oh, let's talk after the event. So they told us, all right, we're going to give you your first special on our show on Telemundo. And then like a couple months passed by and the pandemic hit and we were depressed and we're like trying to do the home studio stuff, performances. And we're like, damn, this is like a little depressing. Like we can't see people. Right. And they hadn't called for a little bit, So you kind of like when you're in that spot where you want to work, you're like, oh my God, like they haven't really called. And then one day we were filming in the middle of like the Wissahickon Creek. Okay. All right. So we were like in there. Okay. And when we got back to the car, we had actually forgotten our phone in the car. And when we got back to the car, we had a missed phone call from them. And they were like, hey, we're going to do the interview and we're about to start filming for that movie that we told you. Right. So it's nice because we were blessed to meet people that do what they say, which is very hard to find,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think because of all of those manifestations, like keeping up the faith and keeping up with the work, right? Because you got to just do your job to put yourself up for success. And that's what I've done. Just work until you get it. No, that's true. And that's a real thing because I think people... Oftentimes, I think they romanticize this entrepreneur walk and, becoming an actress or, and I say entrepreneur because it just covers so much, it just, in my head, it just means you're not trying to work for no one else. Okay. You're doing it for yourself. Yeah. People romanticize this, but they don't understand that all that it takes to get up and to handle and also deal with rejection. So what about you? Like, what are some of the ways in which you handle rejection? Because not every role you go out for that you get, not every time you walk into a bar with your guitar that you actually able to, perform. So what happens when them doors get shut? How do you handle that? Sure. I think my main go-to has always been of my end goal. So I just keep my eye on that prize. And I understand that not everybody is going to be on board with like your style of either singing, playing, or acting, right? I mean, and acting is a lot to do more with what the actual production needs versus your talent. So you may be a very talentful person doing a whole bunch of auditions, but a lot of the times of casting is very like what the story needs or what type of character. So for me, those rejections, I take them, I learn from every audition and I take them lightly because, not lightly, but in the sense of like, I don't let it depress me if I don't get a job, right? Like I do a whole bunch of auditions. I have an agent from Applaud Talent who's great. She gets me commercials. She gets me all of that. But before I even got there, I actually had to invest in taking acting classes, right? To learn how to act in front of the camera for commercials, film, and theater is a little different, But I had to do that work to get the audition for my agent, and then go from there. It started to pick up for me actually within the past year with Gail. So it is a lot of hard work and you're not going to get every single job. But I think a lot of it is finding the belief in yourself, finding that space where you become comfortable with who you are. And believing in your talent is a very important aspect of being an actor. You have to be confident, not cocky, right? But like just confident in knowing, okay, I didn't get this one, but I know that I can keep going because I have all these other assets that I can give, that I still have to show. And I'm always looking for ways to learn new things. to better my acting skills or my music skills or even my dance skills. Like right now I'm working on showcasing a lot more of that in my performances, not only singing, but adding on that part of it.
Right.
And it's also hard work, but I got my first sponsor now for dancers.
Wow.
So my friend Tony, thank you.
Okay. Shout out to Tony.
Yeah, Tony Pierce. He also does security in case you need it.
Right. Gotta plug him.
So he just wants to help us out, which is awesome because it's our first sponsor that we've ever had. So it's been a very rough ride. I won't lie. I have many stories I could share with you all. But the one thing that I've learned is just staying true to myself. And then always having that spiritual side of myself kind of as my go-to at the end of the day, you know?
So is that how you detox? Is how you detox by going to your spiritual side?
Yeah. Like, you know, at the end of the day, I kind of just try to de-stress. Meditation is very important for me. I do it in the morning. I say mantras in the morning, you know, thank you for this job. Can I have a better one? You know?
Right.
So, you know, I manifest a lot and it's actually helped me get through very difficult times. You know, my life hasn't always been nice colored roses. I think we all have a lot of obstacles that we encounter that we don't always necessarily see coming at us. Those are the most difficult ones that I have encountered recently. But I'm just kind of, you know, keeping the faith and saying everything happens for a reason. And I always try to find that silver lining or that balance, you know, of protecting my mental health and protecting my emotions, right? Because sometimes when things don't go our way, we can get a little depressed. We can be like, oh, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore.
That's a fact.
Which happens to me sometimes too. You know, it's like you work, and then you want to see the fruit of your labor. And sometimes it takes time. You know, like now is when I'm seeing a little bit of my fruit of my labor.
Right. So give me some practicalities because I'm in therapy, okay? And one of the things that I brought this up in a few other podcasts is that I feel like therapy, the word healing, and all these other different things, they're becoming trendy. And people are using it and they're going to take it for granted. So one of the things that when I hear that, it's kind of like, okay, give me some practicalities. I'm a practical person. Give me some practicalities. So when you are feeling depressed, when you're not getting positive feedback, when you're not getting the manifestations that you didn't kicked out, it ain't coming back to you right yet. How do you handle that? What are some of the things and how you maintain a positive perspective?
Sure. So I am very frank with the universe, right? Sometimes you got to let it out. So I write music though, like when that happens to me and I feel like I'm in that rut, I've always gone to poetry to kind of let out my thoughts and I turn them into music a lot of the times. And that's always been my therapy. Like that's my logistical thing. I sit at my piano and I just do that. But other times, honestly, I just vent it out and I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like, you know, I just vent out to the universe, but then I go outside, you know, I like to play tennis. So for me, that's a major de-stressor. When I get depressed, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm at home too much. Let me just do something where I don't think about the problem. You know, I just go outside, look at the trees. I'm a very like believer that animals are also like messengers. So I know, don't call me crazy, but
no.
But for me, it's very helpful, okay? Like, for example, I was having a very depressed day one day, and I know this is really random, but I had never seen a baby deer before. I'm from Miami, okay? So one day, my husband calls me, and he's like, hey, there's a Bambi in the parking lot.
A Bambi
in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, my God, let me run down to see it. So I see it, and then I didn't want it to get run over, so I'm just here, like, trying to guide it back into the forest.
Right.
And I'm just like this crazy person just running around with this Bambi,
chasing deer.
Trying to get him to go to that area. But then it was funny because I was having a sad day and we made eye contact, and it was the weirdest thing I ever experienced because what it transmitted to me was kind of like that it understood that I was having a bad moment. And that literally made me cry. Like, it made me cry in a good way. Like wow, like nature can understand, like, when someone's feeling sad. That's like really powerful.
No, that's a real thing. It ain't nothing. Listen, there's been so many times I looked up at the sky and I seen something or just felt something. It's right. It's the universe speaking to you. And a lot of it, you have to be conscious. You gotta stay in a place of consciousness because it actually speaks to us all the time. I tell you, when I started this podcast, before I got into this particular space, everything it seemed like it didn't work right. It was just like, oh man, I call this person, they say, call me at this time. I call at that time, they don't pick up. I go down to this place, they're not there. You know, whatever the pieces were. And then when I started getting into this space, things just started lining up. It was just like, wow. And it was like, I can't ignore. I'm not the most spiritual person in the world. I'm not that guy. But it was too much for me to ignore. Like, it gets to a point where you're like, yo, this is the path that I need to be walking on. So I totally get that. And during our conversation, you talked a lot about your husband. So talk to me a little bit about him. Talk to me a little bit about your support system and, you know.
Yeah. The reason why I always give him props a lot is because when we first met, I was looking for a band to be the lead singer. And he was looking for a lead singer for his band.
Right.
And it was like one of those things where I was in the car. I was in the middle of North Miami, right? Anything can happen. You're a woman going by yourself to audition for someone in a warehouse, you know?
Right.
And like, I was like, God, okay, if this is my opportunity, you know, let me feel peace with this person because, like, you know, women, we're very conscious of like our age in the entertainment, right?
Right.
So I was like, is the time right now to do this for me, you know? And then when I met him, he was very respectful. And as soon as like he strummed the guitar and I started singing, like I could feel the whole vibe in the room change. And that's how I knew like I met the person that I was like searching to meet. Wow. It was like really odd. And then I sat him. I've always been very conservative, but I grabbed him and I sat him down and I was like, I sing, I dance, I play the piano, like, your guitar sounds amazing. Like, we can really do something great together. And he was like, okay, I'm not going to look for another singer. And then I thought he was like not being serious, right? So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But then like he actually called me back. He's like, hey, we're going to do a video. Like, we're going to announce that you're the lead singer from my band. And I was like, what? Like, I can't do that to the guys. They're going to kill me. Like a woman taking over their band. Right. He's like, yeah, that's what you're going to do. And I was going through a lot of hardships at that moment. And he became like my friend. He helped me talk about the things that I wasn't ever really able to talk about. And that helped me find the root of my problem of why I couldn't break out in my artist self. Like why I didn't have that freedom to be like, this is who I am, you know? And I found my artist name through that process, you know. And I remember the first song that I actually embraced my womanhood without being ashamed. Because, you know, when you come from church, I'm not going to talk a lot about church, but
you can though.
Okay, when you come from church, right? A lot of the times I felt like guilty about moving a certain way or like, you know, I came from a place where sometimes they would tell me, no, you can't sing and play at the same time, or you can't move like this, or this and that. And then, you know, I was not feeling like a free person, you know, and it wasn't my happy place anymore. So I decided to leave because it wasn't healthy. And when I finally did that and I started to kind of find myself as that artist as well, it was with a Tina Turner song. Which is called What's Love Got to Do With It? Right. And I was there and I was frustrated because I couldn't find like what direction I wanted to take as an artist. And my husband's name is Coco. And Coco was like, if you don't believe in yourself now, no one's going to believe in you. Like you got to make a choice to be the artist you have to be right now. So I was like, okay, so let me practice. So being a sensual person was not my forte at the time. And then in the Tina, I kind of found that empowerment, you know, because I really love her. So I remember in that song was when I finally felt like free when I sang it and I tried to interpret it. And ever since then, I haven't looked back. And I found my freedom in being a spiritual person, not necessarily a religious person. And that for me was a game changer because it got rid of all of this like guilt, like this pressure to be like a perfect person, which we're not. And for me, that was like an amazing liberation in the sense of like, I can be myself. I don't have to really care if people agree with my decisions or not, as long as I know inside, that little voice inside that we all have. Like I listened to my voice for the first time and I was like, I'm never going to look back from this because I feel so much healthier emotionally, you know? And that for me was very powerful and it really changed my life. And Yeah, and I owe it a lot to my husband because he was the first person that truly believed in me. And like if it's a man, women, when you meet, at first I was like, well, what do you want from me? Because like you're kind of supporting me a lot. You're being there for me too much, and you're not asking for anything in exchange, And he was like, well, let me tell you a story. So when he was younger, when he was 20 years old, he was leaving Argentina to become a full-time musician, like in, I believe it was in Sitges or Greece or somewhere there. Ibiza. There you go. And he said, he looked out the window. He said, God, the only thing I ask is for somebody to discover me. And a really loud voice appeared to him saying, nobody's going to discover you, but you're going to discover someone. It's a woman. She's a dragon and Sagittarius.
Right.
And at that time, no dragon of Sagittarius was going to be born for many years, And he was like, what the heck? Like, this person will be like a baby, So he closed the Ishin book and he was like, forget about this. But then in my transcourse of life, like I always felt like I was going to meet this man who was like a director. And I don't know why. It was like the oddest thing in the world, okay? And I would have like dreams, like visionary type of dreams. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I don't even know where I'm going to meet this person. But I always felt like, yeah, like I know that I'm going to meet this person. And when he tells me that story, it kind of like clicked for me because I was like, yeah, like I can relate to what you're saying because it makes sense to everything that I've been building up until this point.
Right.
So we weren't a couple right away, like we were colleagues and everything. And
so how long did y'all date for? Like, or how long? Oh, first of all, let me ask you this question. How long have y'all been married now?
We've been together for 10 years.
Wow.
But we just got married like during the pandemic.
Okay.
But
no, that's amazing because most people during the pandemic, they was breaking up.
I know, but you know what our thought process was? And I kind of feel like everybody has a soulmate.
Okay.
And maybe not everybody has the chance to really meet that person in their lifetime. When you do meet them, it's like a once in a lifetime experience, at least for me, it's been. And I feel like something that has made it successful is the fact that we both work in the same industry.
Right.
We both can agree to disagree, because you don't always agree.
Right.
And then also when we were on the cruise ships, I mean, being a couple is hard work, but working together as well is like double the work and always like staying on the same page to protect what you're building. And we survived the cruise ship. Okay. And that was a little cabin. That's there's not many places you can go on the cruise ship. I'm going to the Sunset Garden when I'm upset with you, it's not, it kind of tests your patience a lot,
No, I can imagine.
Yeah. And then of course we had some interesting events where, people, when they drink, they could become a little disrespectful sometimes.
Right.
So that happened to us sometimes and we navigated all those things. Successfully. And I think that's been a great part. And we like each other. We don't always like each other, but we like each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's a big part of how we've been able to work together this long. And I also didn't put everything on him. Like I learned how to produce music in the studio. I learned how to make websites. I learned how to make flyers. I feel like as an artist, there's a lot you got to do to keep yourself going because you can't always have money for everything in the beginning,
right?
Until you grow your brand.
No, I like that. And one of those things I like that you mentioned is that you found someone that works with your industry so they understand things different. One of the things that I'm always big on is compatibility. It's the fact of finding someone that you're actually compatible with. I think the reason why a lot of people are in dead-end relationships or they're with people where it's not going to go anywhere is because they're not actually compatible. They're just getting with each other because they like each other, which is fine, but they don't have any, my long-term goals does not complement your long-term goals and vice versa. And then it's filled, too, where the hours are very long, where you could be filming with someone from the opposite sex for a long period of time or in a remote location or whatever the case might be where you might have to get up and go, where the pay could be great one week and then the next week is terrible. To have somebody that understands that, is really, really, really a good thing to have. So I commend you for finding that. And I commend you for being smart enough to say, hey, we need to lock arms with this thing too, because again, a part of the reason why so many people are going through bad relationships is because they have this, I could do it all on my own. I don't need anyone. And it's like, no, you do. So I'm grateful that y'all been holding it down. It make me want to get a guitar.
Well, you can give you lessons. So
I might have to go get me a guitar and go ahead and start doing a few things myself. So, let's talk about your future. What's coming up? Okay. What does the future look like for you?
Well, right now I'm waiting for a couple things I can't talk about.
Okay.
But that's what I'm really waiting on. And I definitely want to do it all. You know, like my future for me is being a full-time working actress. And the music, of course, like I welcome any projects in music, but I feel like acting is a good like ground for me for work. Okay. So I definitely want to be a full-time working actress and, you know, doing like special performances during my career time on television or just anywhere that I'm invited to do that.
Gotcha.
So that's my future right now. That's my goal.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Any advice that you would give for young women that are also coming up, who the women are going to be looking at this interview saying, I want to become an actress and I want to, you know, go down some of the same career paths and make some of the same decisions. What advice would you give them?
I would tell them to get close to people that can be good, like mentors or good examples to them, because that helped me a lot in my process. I had women around me that were in my family, but they were great friends. They were a great example of like, you know, just how to like grow up as a woman, you know, like manners or things like that. So I would say that finding a good mentor is nice. You don't have to have a million friends that agree with everything that you want to do. The main thing I would say for an actress is do it because you love it. Don't do it because you're going to make money from it. Because a lot of the times actors are just waiting for the next job. And you got to be flexible. So if you have to like work, you know, a different job until you get to your end goal, that's okay. Like you don't have to be ashamed about that or feel bad about that.
No, I think that is true too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think that is true too. I think that it's okay to maintain steady employment or whatever's going to do to keep you out of survival mode. Because what happens is you get into survival mode, and when you're there, it's hard to be creative at that point. Yeah,
because you're so focused on the struggle that you can't really flow creatively.
Right.
So I'm actually embracing that right now as well, because you know, you need to pay your bills.
Right. Life is real. Listen, life is real for all of us. Until you get your next big
one, you know.
Life is real for all of us. We all go through it. And that's another reason why I wanted to have this platform, because I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to be where somebody could be like, look, because so many times where you watch some of these interviews and it's like, yo, I got it all together. I know all what I need to do. And I'm doing it. I'm the top dog. I'm on the top of the mountain looking down. No, it's not like that. You know, behind closed doors, some of those same folks are struggling, or they're trying to find their way, or they just got to a place where things are looking a little bit better for them. So I wanted us to have that authentic conversation. Like, hey, look, things is real. You know, it's real for all of us out here. Being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. If you are soft, if you are squeamish, if you don't got no resilience in you, this is not for you.
Yeah, it's definitely like that, you know. And then there's many times where like you start something and then you got to start it all over again.
Right.
Like, and you got to that's when you got to have thick skin and be flexible with life. Not everything's going to happen the way I want it to, you know. So it's being flexible a lot of the times. As an artist, you have to just go with the tide and just navigate it the best way you can. You know?
Right. Well, Serene, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your energy. You're sharing the space with me. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything that I might have missed?
Just be on the lookout for my movie. It's called Crimson Butterfly. It should be coming out on Amazon soon. So I'll definitely make an announcement on my social media. You can follow me under Serena Salinas. I do have music online as well you can listen to. So that's where you can find me.
Well, thank you so very much. You enjoyed your experience here?
I did. It was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. So that means you'll come back?
I will.
All right. Well, this is Zachary King, and this is the Future is Female podcast. I'm out.